For years, one light has ruled the wedding landscape. The Practilite 602. The Practilite 602 in many ways is the perfect light for wedding filmmaking, and we love it. But a challenger to the throne has arisen. Has the Aputure LS 60X come to unseat the Practilite 602 from its throne of dominance in the wedding filmmaking world? We shall see in today's video. Hey, my name is Jason McCutcheon, and we're going to be doing something awesome today. We're going to be pitting the Practilite 602 against the brand new, incredible Aputure Lightstorm 60X. Which light will reign supreme in the wedding filmmaking world? Before we get into the video, we're giving one of these things away. We're giving away this Aputure LS 60X to one lucky filmmaker. But we're not just giving that away, we're giving away a whole kit valued at over $3,000. Head over to weddingfilm.school/giveaway. There's a bunch of ways to enter. You could win an Aputure LS 60X. So let's get into the video. If you follow this channel, you know that we are huge fans of the Practilite 602. It's very small form factor, it's incredible build quality, its ease of use, even its power options, everything about the light was really perfect for the wedding filmmaker, in a lot of ways kind of revolutionary. I don't think there has been anything to really compete with it. Even for some of its flaws, it's been pretty much perfect. It's been the king of lighting for wedding filmmaking for a while now. That was until now. Aputure released this thing, it's the LS 60X. It kind of has taken the wedding filmmaking world by storm. Not only does it have a similar incredible build quality, you're talking about 3 times the brightness, a wider range of color temperatures available to you. So today, we're gonna be pitting these two lights against each other to see which one reigns supreme in the wedding filmmaking world. So let's first talk about what these two lights have in common. They're both bicolor lights. The Practilite has a kind of a rounded Fresnel, the little circle pattern. Aputure 60S kind of has more of a smooth Fresnel. So they have a slightly different look to the light quality. The other thing they have in common is both of them have barn doors included. Both of the barn doors are pretty durable and seem kind of beefy. Both of them take an external battery, can be powered in a number of ways. My preference with both of these lights is to use a V-mount. Both lights have a range of beam angles and can be adjusted on the back. That's kind of where the similarities end, because even within those, they both accomplish those things in slightly different ways and varying levels of success. So let's get into the shootout between the Practilite and the Aputure 60X. Let's do it. So the first obvious thing that you notice when you look at these lights is the Practilite, it's quite a bit smaller. So in terms of portability, the Practilite still wins the day on that. It's just so small. We pack it just in a backpack. I mean, you can put it really anywhere. You can put 2 of them in a Pelican case, all this stuff. Lightstorm, you've got that extra couple inches of size. The only thing that I will say, this does not collapse as opposed to the yoke on this one, which will kind of go like that. In terms of size, I would still say the Practilite has one over on the Aputure 60X. But as they say, size doesn't matter. Let's talk power options. The Practilite uses a 4-pin XLR, which is pretty standard in a lot of sets and a lot of lighting situations, while the Aputure opts to go with kind of a attached, hanging, proprietary adapter, which I believe is also 4-pin. Aputure does include an NPF battery adapter as well as a DTAP adapter, and something I really love about this light is right built into this yoke, they have a V-mount clip. You can put your V-mounts right in there. It's awesome, it's nice and secure, and you don't need to have a V-mount battery hanging somewhere in your light stand like some people do. Let's talk beam angle. Another place the Practilite gets a win is beam angle. The Aputure 60X is a 15 to 45 degree beam angle, while the Practilite 602 is a 15 to 75 degree beam angle. Now, it might seem like the Practilite is the clear winner when it comes to beam angle. You got 30 more degrees of light. It's just the flood is much wider. But when you consider the fact that the Aputure is so much brighter, the 60X can just be backed up so much more, and of course that's one way to get a wider beam angle. It kind of ends up being a bit of a moot point, so I would call this one a draw, unless you happen to only be able to set your lights up very, very close to people, and that does happen at weddings sometimes. So if you find yourself wanting very, very soft, flooded light, and you don't really care about pin spotting, and you really don't want it to be too bright, you might prefer the Practilite. Let's talk color temperature. The Practilite goes from 3,000 to 6,000, while the Aputure 60X goes from 2,700 to 6,500. That's a lot more color temperature. So why would a wedding filmmaker really care about having an extra 300 kelvins on the warm side, an extra 500 kelvins on the cool side? I think it just gives you that many more options. As we know, many weddings have very, very, very warm light. And a lot of times you might kind of want to just have your light kind of blend in your image, and you want to match the light in the room. Having the ability to go warmer or cooler just gives you more options. I think the Aputure is a clear winner when it comes to this. Both the Practilite 602 and the Aputure 60X have an app. I'm a little torn on this one because the Aputure's app is a lot more capable, it has a lot more options, it works with a lot more lights, but I'm kind of a big fan of the simplicity of the Practilite app, especially at a wedding day. It doesn't give me as many options, seems to be a little faster, a little snappier, a little simpler. I don't know why you'd really want to buy a light that didn't have the ability to have Bluetooth control in today's modern era, and I really, really think you can't go wrong with either app. Let's look at the controls. My opinion on these lights is they're kind of a draw. I will say this is where you start to see some of the cost difference between the lights. The Practilite controls are smooth as butter. This light has been beaten up and everything about it still feels brand new and incredible. The Fresnel controls are so smooth, giant, easy to grab when you have it set up. These are smooth and beautiful. I mean, everything about the way that they build this thing is just so top notch. I'm a little bit concerned about these plastic knobs on the Aputure. They're kind of clicky and they feel cheap. And then the flood and spot controls take forever to turn on this Aputure. This is the one area on this light where I can see the price difference and feel the price difference. On the positive side, the Aputure does have a brighter, larger screen, so it's a little easier to read when the light's up. Not to say that the Kinetinic is a problem, because to me, even though it's small, it doesn't convey that much complicated information. I've never had a problem with seeing it and noticing it. So here's where the rubber really meets the road when it comes to lighting, which is brightness. I cannot state this enough. I have no idea how they made this light so bright. The Aputure 60X in real world situations is like 4 times brighter than the Practilite 602. That is not small. And it doesn't mean that you need to ever shine a light that bright. So before you start saying things like, well, I would never turn my light up that bright, that's not the point. Wouldn't it be great if you could just set your light up anywhere and you knew it would do the job? A brighter light just gives you more options on a wedding day, the ability to set it up anywhere, the ability to be safer, the ability to be less obtrusive. I want to show you guys a test of how much brighter this light is. So we're going to test this in 2 ways. We set both of our lights, the Aputure 60X and the Practilite 602, at a 40-foot distance. Both lights are about 10 feet off the ground. The first test is the Aputure 60X fully spotted at 100% brightness. In order to get our exposure correct, we set our shutter speed to about 50 f4.0 1000 ISO. Let's see how much brighter this Aputure is by looking at the Practilite set to the exact same camera settings. As you can see, when we set our Practilite, we have a very, very, very underexposed image from the exact same setup. This is the Practilite fully spotted at 100% brightness. Aputure is probably about 4 times brighter than the Practilite. In order to get a correct exposure from 40-foot distance fully spotted, we had to bring our camera's ISO up to 2500. Let's do the same test, but with a fully flooded light. This is our Aputure 60X set at 100% brightness. In order to get the exposure that we wanted, we set it to ISO 2500, and this is fully flooded at a 40-foot distance. This is the Practilite 602, 100% brightness, fully flooded at a 40-foot distance. The camera settings are the same as a proper exposure on the Aputure, and as you can see, it is dramatically underexposed in every single area, a total useless image. In order to get a properly exposed image with the Practilite 602 at this distance and at this brightness level, you would have to set your ISO to 8000. 8000 ISO is just unusable noise, and it's not something I would ever recommend people doing. I think 2500 is perfectly within the realm of a very useful brightness, and you could easily avoid ever having to go that high with the Aputure by simply spotting the light a little more and getting a little more brightness out of it. The ability to set your lights up anywhere in the room at a wedding is invaluable. You never really know how far you're going to need to go. Many wedding filmmakers are conditioned to have to set their lights up 10, 20 feet away. But with the Aputure 60X, you can pretty much set your lights up anywhere you want. and still get a great exposure. This is a daylight ceremony I recently shot with the Aputure 60X, where I used it to give myself fill when I had a really messy combination white balance. This is not something I would ever consider doing or ever could have done with my Practilite 602. At the end of the day, you buy a light because you want it to give you light, and having a brighter light is better than having a dimmer light. But what's better than having a brighter light? How about a cheaper light? Aputure clearly has made a decision to go right for the throats of the Practilite 602 and hit them where it hurts, which is price. As of today, this light can be had for around $450, the bicolor version. Typically, the Practilite 602 is around $999, $1,000. Neither light includes a battery, so you still have to buy a battery. But when you think about it, that's like crazy. You could buy 2 of these lights for the price of 1 Practilite. I think comparing the fact that the Practilite is twice as expensive, has less color range, is only 1/4 the real world brightness, and really just has less features in general, I don't really think that it can stand up to the Aputure 60X anymore. I don't really see why a wedding filmmaker in today's modern era would really pick the Practilite 602 unless you really needed the smaller form factor because you were doing a lot of destination travel, things like that. I think it's pretty well settled. The Aputure 60X is the new king of portable Fresnel lights for wedding filmmakers, and I don't think it's even close. This thing is incredible. I love this light. If you want to get one, go down in the comments, click on the link, support our channel. If you want to win one of these and more, like a GIMBALS S, a Rode Go 2, a YOLO box, a kit from Small Rig, a wireless transmitter from Hollyland, go ahead, click on the link below, weddingfilm.school/giveaway, and you can win an Aputure 60X. Thank you guys so much for supporting our channel. Really means a lot. It also means a lot if you go ahead and hit that like button. Let YouTube know that you enjoyed it and you want to see more wedding filmmaking content, gear reviews, and all the things that are happening here at Wedding Film School.